Imagine a life where, instead of fighting every challenge, you embraced each one with grace. Imagine the freedom that would come from letting go of the need to control what is beyond you. Today, I want to talk about one of the most profound principles found in Stoic philosophy, and that is the power of acceptance over resistance. This principle teaches us that true strength doesn't come from resisting life's challenges, but from accepting life exactly as it is. We live in a world that constantly demands control. We are taught to manage our lives down to every last detail, to plan for every outcome, to compare ourselves to others who seem to have it all figured out. But the truth is, life is unpredictable. It's messy. It's full of surprises, both joyful and painful. And in the pursuit of control, we often lose something far more precious: our inner peace. Let me take you back to one of the greatest Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher. Marcus Aurelius lived a life filled with responsibility, with wars and unrest surrounding him. Yet he found peace in a simple but powerful truth. Life is unpredictable, and we cannot control everything that happens to us. What we can control, however, is our response. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words, written nearly 2,000 years ago, still resonate today. They remind us that while we can't control the storms of life, we can control how we navigate them. And that's where acceptance comes in. Now, let me be clear. Acceptance is not the same as giving up. It's not about surrendering to failure or pain. Instead, it is about acknowledging the limits of your control and recognizing where your power ends and where peace begins. It's about understanding that some things in life are simply out of your hands, whether it's the actions of others, the passing of time, or the unfolding of events that you didn't foresee. Acceptance allows you to let go of the resistance that causes suffering. We often find ourselves caught in a cycle of resistance. We resist outcomes we don't want, realities we wish were different, or situations that make us uncomfortable. How often have you been stressed, frustrated, or even angry over something that you had no control over? Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a relationship that ended, or even something as simple as the weather ruining your plans. In those moments, the stress doesn't come from the situation itself. It comes from your resistance to it. It comes from the mental and emotional energy you are spending trying to control something that cannot be controlled. The more you resist, the more you suffer. But what if you could step back? What if, instead of trying to fight reality, you accepted it for what it is? What if you acknowledged that some things are beyond your control, and instead of resisting, you found peace in accepting them? This is the wisdom that Marcus Aurelius and many Stoics teach us. Life is not about controlling everything around us. It's about controlling what's within us, our minds, our reactions, our perceptions. When you embrace acceptance, you open the door to inner peace. You allow yourself to stop wasting energy on what you can't influence, and instead, you focus that energy on what you can: your actions, your thoughts, your attitudes. Think about a situation in your life where you felt stuck. Maybe it was a time when things didn't go your way no matter how hard you tried. Perhaps it was a failed project, a broken relationship, or a situation completely out of your hands. How much stress did you create for yourself by refusing to accept the outcome? How much peace did you sacrifice because you were caught in the web of resistance? Imagine if, in those moments, you had chosen acceptance. Imagine the calm that could have followed the realization that, yes, this is happening, but I don't have to let it disturb my inner peace. Acceptance frees you from the mental anguish that comes with trying to fight reality. Acceptance is not weakness, it's strength. One of the most common misconceptions is that acceptance is weakness. We often think that if we accept a situation, we are giving up, but the truth is quite the opposite. Acceptance is the ultimate form of strength, because it takes incredible courage to stop fighting what we cannot control. It takes wisdom to recognize that some battles are not meant to be fought, but rather to be observed and understood. In accepting life as it is, we are not resigning ourselves to defeat. Instead, we are aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life. We are creating harmony between our internal world and the external world, and in doing so, we find peace, clarity, and calm. Marcus Aurelius taught that the universe is constantly changing. Life will never stay the same, and that's something we cannot change. But what we can change is how we perceive these changes. By embracing acceptance, we are choosing to see the uncertainty of life not as an obstacle, but as a fundamental part of existence. So, how do we practice acceptance in our everyday lives? It begins with a shift in mindset. The next time you find yourself resisting a situation, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, then choose acceptance. Release the need to change or control it. Instead, focus on what you can control: your response, your thoughts, your actions. Acceptance is a practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but with time, it becomes a source of incredible strength. The more you accept life as it is, the more peace you will find within yourself. Remember, life will always throw challenges your way. It will test you, surprise you, and sometimes it will bring you to your knees. But through the power of acceptance, you can rise stronger. You can find peace even in the face of life's greatest unpredictability. As Marcus Aurelius said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. So today, I encourage you to shift your focus inward. Let go of resistance and embrace acceptance. In doing so, you will discover a strength and peace that no external force can ever take away. In life, we often find ourselves striving to control the world around us, our circumstances, other people, events we didn't foresee. We obsess over perfecting our lives, and when things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel frustrated, stressed, and powerless. But today, I want to share a timeless truth that comes from the heart of Stoic philosophy. The greatest power we possess is not over the external world, but over ourselves, our responses, our thoughts, and our perceptions. This simple but profound shift in focus can bring extraordinary peace and strength. The Stoics understood that while the world is unpredictable, chaotic, and often beyond our control, our inner world is where our real power lies. And it is by learning to control our responses, not the world around us, that we can navigate life with wisdom and resilience. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it beautifully when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that for a moment. Life will bring challenges. It will throw obstacles in your way. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and moments where everything seems to go wrong. But it is not the events themselves that define you. It is how you choose to respond to them. Epictetus taught that we should draw a clear line between what is within our control and what is not. We cannot control the actions of others, the passage of time, or the unfolding of certain events. But what we can control, what we have absolute authority over, is our response. We control our emotions, our thoughts, and our reactions to what life presents to us. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most empowering principles of Stoicism. When you shift your focus from trying to manage the uncontrollable to mastering your internal world, you unlock an incredible source of strength and peace. This is not about ignoring the difficulties of life or pretending they don't exist. It's about facing them with the understanding that, no matter what happens, you have the power to choose your response. Let me ask you this. How many times have you been upset because something didn't go the way you wanted? Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a relationship that didn't work out, or an unexpected change in plans. In those moments, the frustration comes not from the event itself, but from your desire to control something that was never yours to control in the first place. We live in a world that constantly tells us that control is the ultimate goal. We are told to control our environment, to control other people's perceptions of us, to control outcomes. But the truth is, trying to control things outside of ourselves is a recipe for stress and disappointment. No matter how much effort you put in, no matter how hard you try, there will always be factors beyond your influence. And this is where the power of Stoicism comes into play. When you release the need to control everything outside of yourself, and instead focus on mastering your inner world, you begin to see life differently. You stop wasting energy on things you can't change, and instead, you channel that energy into something far more productive: your mindset, your actions, and your character. Think about a time when you were in a difficult situation. Maybe it was an argument with someone close to you, or a challenge at work. In that moment, did you feel the urge to control the other person's actions, or to manipulate the outcome in your favor? How did that make you feel? Chances are, it created tension, frustration, and even more stress. Now imagine if, in that moment, you had shifted your focus. Instead of trying to control the other person or the situation, what if you had focused on controlling your own reaction? What if you had chosen patience instead of anger, understanding instead of frustration? How much more peace would you have felt? This is the freedom that comes from letting go of external control. When you accept that you cannot control everything around you, but you can control your response, you liberate yourself from unnecessary suffering. You begin to realize that your power lies not in bending the world to your will, but in managing your internal state with wisdom and calm. Mastering your response is a practice, and like any practice, it takes time and effort. It's easy to get caught up in the emotions of the moment. It's easy to feel anger, frustration, or disappointment when things don't go your way. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that, with practice, we can train our minds to respond differently. Imagine each moment of frustration as a test. When something doesn't go your way, or when someone acts in a way that upsets you, see it as an opportunity to strengthen your inner mastery. Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, then let go of the desire to control it. Shift your focus inward. How can you respond in a way that aligns with your values and brings you peace? Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of inner mastery. The more you practice controlling your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions, the more strength and resilience you will develop. So, how do we take this ancient wisdom and apply it to our modern lives? It begins with a mindset shift. The next time you find yourself in a situation where things aren't going as planned, take a deep breath. Pause. Ask yourself, what is within my control here? If it's something external, let go of the need to manage it. If it's your response, then focus on that. This simple practice of shifting from external control to internal mastery will transform the way you experience life. It will free you from the constant stress of trying to control things beyond your influence. It will give you the strength to remain calm and centered, no matter what life throws your way. Remember, life is full of uncertainties, challenges, and moments of chaos. But within that chaos, you have a power that no external force can ever take away. The power to choose how you respond. By embracing this power, you will not only navigate life's challenges with wisdom, but you will also find a deep sense of peace and freedom that comes from within. As we go forward, let us take these lessons to heart. Let us focus on mastering our internal world, rather than trying to control the external one. Let us remember the wisdom of the Stoics, who taught us that true power lies not in changing the world, but in changing ourselves. Over the previous speeches, we've explored the power of acceptance, how true strength lies in embracing life as it is rather than resisting it. We've also discussed the importance of controlling our responses, not the world around us, realizing that peace comes from mastering our internal state rather than attempting to manipulate external circumstances. Today, we'll take these lessons a step further and talk about a concept that is at the very heart of Stoicism: living in harmony with the universe. What does it mean to live in harmony with the universe? It means recognizing that life is constantly changing and evolving, and that many of the events we encounter are beyond our control. Rather than fighting this natural flow, we can choose to align ourselves with it, finding peace and clarity in the midst of life's inevitable chaos. This idea, this harmony, allows us to release the stress, frustration, and anger that often arise when we resist the natural order of things. Let's start by acknowledging a truth that we've all experienced. Life is unpredictable. One moment, everything seems to be going well, and the next, everything changes. This unpredictability can feel overwhelming at times. We find ourselves asking, why is this happening to me? Or what did I do wrong? But the Stoics remind us that change is not an enemy to be feared, but an essential part of existence. Life is always in flux, And it is through accepting this constant change that we find harmony. Marcus Aurelius, whose wisdom we've discussed before, often wrote about the impermanence of life. He believed that everything in the universe is interconnected and that the changes we experience are part of a greater cosmic order. He once said, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things which are, and to make new things like them." In other words, change is not something to resist, but something to embrace. It is through this continuous flow that life moves forward. Think about nature for a moment. The seasons change, the tides rise and fall, the sun sets and rises again. There is a rhythm to it all, a natural order that unfolds whether we like it or not. And just as nature follows this rhythm, so too do our lives. Sometimes we are in a season of growth, and sometimes we are in a season of challenge. The key is to recognize that both are necessary, both are part of the universal flow, and both are beyond our control. Now, let's consider what happens when we resist this natural flow of life. When we resist change or try to control the uncontrollable, we create suffering for ourselves. We get caught in a cycle of frustration, stress, and anger because we are fighting against the very nature of existence. But as we've learned, the power of acceptance lies in letting go of this resistance. When we stop trying to fight the flow of life and instead align ourselves with it, we find harmony. This harmony is not about passivity or giving up. It's about making peace with life's uncertainty. It's about understanding that the universe is in constant motion and that we are a part of that motion. When we accept this, we stop seeing change as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity for growth, learning, and transformation. Think back to a time when you were going through a difficult period. Maybe it was a time of loss, disappointment, or unexpected change. How much suffering did you experience because you resisted what was happening? How much stress did you create for yourself by wishing things were different? Now imagine if, in that moment, you had chosen to accept the situation as part of the natural flow of life. Imagine if you had allowed yourself to harmonize with the reality of the situation rather than resist it. How much more peace could you have experienced? So, how do we live in harmony with the universe? The Stoics give us clear guidance on this. First, we must cultivate awareness. We must constantly remind ourselves that change is inevitable and that much of what happens in life is beyond our control. By being aware of this truth, we can begin to shift our mindset from one of resistance to one of acceptance. Next, we must practice detachment. Detachment does not mean we stop caring or become indifferent. Instead, it means that we stop clinging to outcomes. We stop trying to force things to go our way. When we detach from the need to control everything, we free ourselves from the stress that comes with resistance. We begin to trust that life is unfolding as it should, even when we don't understand why things are happening the way they are. Finally, we must embrace adaptability. Life will always throw challenges our way, but we have the ability to adapt. When we are flexible, we can move with life's changes rather than being broken by them. Marcus Aurelius often spoke about the importance of being like a river, flowing around obstacles rather than trying to push through them. This adaptability allows us to stay calm and centered even when things don't go as planned. Living in harmony with the universe doesn't mean that life will suddenly become easy. There will still be challenges, losses, and moments of uncertainty. But by aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life, we can navigate these difficulties with grace and resilience. When we embrace the Stoic principle of amor fati, or the love of fate, we stop seeing adversity as something to fear. Instead, we see it as an essential part of our journey. The Stoics believed that everything that happens in life is an opportunity for growth, even the hardships. When we accept life's challenges with an open heart and a resilient mind, we transform suffering into strength. We turn obstacles into opportunities for inner growth. As we continue on this journey through the teachings of Stoicism, let us remember that living in harmony with the universe is not about avoiding life's challenges, but about embracing them with wisdom and acceptance. The universe is always changing, and we are a part of that change. By aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life, we find peace amid the chaos, strength in the face of uncertainty, and wisdom in the ever-changing nature of existence. The next time you encounter a challenge or a moment of change, pause. Ask yourself, am I resisting this? Or am I accepting it as part of the flow of life? Shift your perspective and choose harmony over resistance. Embrace the wisdom of the Stoics, who taught us that true peace comes not from controlling the world, but from controlling how we respond to it and how we live in harmony with its changes. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of understanding. I hope that these insights into acceptance, control, and harmony help you navigate your life with more peace, strength, and clarity. As we move forward, let's commit to living in alignment with the natural flow of the universe, and in doing so, finding the peace that resides within us all. Thank you.